So let me get this straight, guys. Dragon Age the Veilguard, it dropped, it flopped, and suddenly it's open mic night for every single ex-Bioware dev and gaming journalist with a sob story to step up and give their soapbox takes, right? Now we're hearing that EA executives thought Dragon Age fans were basically pigs at the trough, right? That we basically lap up every piece of garbage that they shoveled out to feed us just because it had the words RPG slapped on the cover. And look, that's honestly not shocking. In fact, we've known for years that big publishers don't respect their audiences. They see us as walking credit cards, like a probably in our butt cracks. But what's funny is that now, with this game completely face planting, the blame game has officially begun. And there's been all sorts of interviews and articles written of people trying to damage control this. In fact, the other day, somebody said that they needed more time. They needed more time, even though they had a decade to literally cook on this game. What's funny is no one involved seems to be taking responsibility for this game instead. Instead, it's like a competition to see who could point the finger the hardest. So I was looking at this article. It says Dragon Age creator says EA execs thought BioWare fans would eat whatever slap they were given since the nerds in the cave always show up for an RPG because it's an RPG. Again, slapping RPG on it doesn't mean that people are going to check it out. They made a lot of mistakes. There's a lot of red flags leading up to the release of Veilguard. For me, it was these transgender scars, the top surgery scars, and then it was also that cringe dialogue in that cutscene where you have to do a barf to show that you're sorry for misgendering somebody, among other things. The gameplay felt uninspired. The character creation was weird. The enemies were ugly. It just wasn't appealing at all. It put a bad name to Dragon Age. So let's talk about the devs. They're claiming their hands were tied, that it was all EA's fault, that the executives at EA were out of touch, marketing ruined everything, etc., etc. But here's the thing, guys. The execs weren't the ones writing these soulless characters, all right? They weren't the ones greenlighting generic dialogue, shallow storylines. They weren't the ones that were just putting everything that was terrible about this. That was the development team that had a decade to work on this. You had the creative control, and you used it to give us the driest, most flavorless RPG that we've seen in years. And I'll say Avowed, not Disavowed. Avowed was a close second. So you want to say that EA didn't prioritize the core RPG crowd. Sure, okay, fine, whatever. But it was the writers, it was the designers, it was the people actually building this game who decided to make a world that felt dead with dialogue that sounded like it came from a Tumblr fanfic and gameplay systems writ from a 2015 mobile game. Okay, so no, you don't get to blame the suits and claim that you were powerless. I know it's easy to say the corporate executives were the ones at fault, that they just wanted money and all of this, but no, it doesn't work that way. And now, here comes the Axis media, right? The Kotakus of the world and Polygons, you name it. They're desperate to play both sides of this. PC Gamer, for example, of all places, which this article is from, is suddenly trying to act like they're sticking up for us, the gamers, the players. Like, we're supposed to forget that just a few months ago they were hyping Veilguard up like it was BioWare's comeback moment. A 10 out of 10 masterpiece, right? Wasn't that what they were saying it? They praised it. They sold it. They enabled this disaster, guys. Now they want credit for turning against it when the backlash hits this. Please, miss me with that, all right? Consumers, gamers, we're not stupid. Quit insulting our intelligence. We know better. The gaming industry, especially the Axis media, they have no backbone. One minute they're pro something, the next they're anti against it. They just make whatever fits their agenda at that point in time. And it's honestly hilarious watching them try to twist themselves into pretzels. Like I said, first they start this article with British politics. No joke, quoting some advisor to Tony Blair, trying to draw this long-winded metaphor about how voter bases and middle-class swing voters, and I'm just sitting here like, dude, bro, you're supposed to be writing about Dragon Age. Why are we seeing stuff about Tony Blair and politics and middle class swing voters and stuff? Write about games. Don't be giving me a TED talk about politics, okay? And buried underneath all that weird tangent that's in this article is the real headline that EA thought RPG fans were locked in. That we were stuck in the cave, that we'd show up no matter what, because hey, nerds love RPGs, right? Who cares what kind? Just call it one, throw in some stats, and ship it. And that level of contempt is honestly bad enough. But what's even worse is the cynical PR rehab tour that's happening right now. All of these ex-devs, as I mentioned, are popping up with their EA bad testimonies, conveniently timed after the game failed. Where were these revelations when it might have helped steer the project in a better direction? Did nobody speak up against the whole game itself? Remember how much damage control there was? They're not speaking out because they care about the fans. They're only speaking out now because they think that being a whistleblower will get them a gold star on their resume. That's essentially what it is. It's all fake. It's all bullcrap. And let's not pretend this is unique to BioWare, all right? We saw the same thing happen with Bungie, with Marathon. That's currently happening right now. Suddenly, the development for Marathon was toxic, leadership's incompetent, and again, maybe that's all true, but it's all suspiciously convenient that these complaints always surface after a public failure, like their live stream, where they had to essentially admit that they've stole assets from artists and things like that. This is all just PR damage control disguised as honesty. They're not as transparent as they want you to think they are. So here's the harsh truth. Completely honest. Harsh truth right here. Let it sink in. The developers also share the blame with any of this. Not just the executives. They're not innocent. The executives aren't innocent. But for the devs to try to wash their hands off of it is ridiculous. When your game is riddled with cringe-inducing terminology, shallow mechanics, inclusivity features that feel like, it's just checkbox for DEI approval instead of actual meaningful representation, it's shallow. That's on you, all right? Top surgery scar toggles aren't why a game flops. But when your creative energy goes more into identity politics over immersion, storytelling, the priorities are clearly skewed. I mean, look at Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Great RPG game. Did wonders. It didn't exactly innovate or pioneer anything. It did what a game is supposed to do, and that's entertain long enough to hold an audience. Look at Cyberpunk. For all of its launch issues, it had heart. It had ambition. You could see what it was trying to be. With Veilguard, there's no such excuse, okay? This isn't a situation where this game was a victim of crunch time and deadlines, where they were hurrying and trying to get this out here. This was a product of people who thought bland, preachy content was enough to win us over. And they had a decade, mind you. And as for the Axis Media, guys, Axis Media, you've been cheerleaders for this direction in the gaming industry for years, all right? You said games needed to evolve. You said the old fans of gaming were outdated, problematic, that were bigoted. You demanded more diverse voices in development and writing, and now that it's not working, now that sales are plummeting and fan trust is gone, now you suddenly want to blame companies? Nah, dude, you guys 110% were architects of this mess as well. So I'm talking about The Gamer, Polygon, Kotaku, Mary Sue, PC Gamer. You all had a hand in this. You propped these games up like Veilguard. You dismissed criticism as reactionary. And now you want to pretend like you were always on our side, the gamer side, right? Gamers don't forget. They haven't forgot. They won't forget. We saw what you wrote when these games launched. Okay, we watched you spin every failure into a teachable moment, so to speak. So don't think that you could walk it back now, okay, and suddenly be seen as allies, because that's not happening. We're not buying it at all. We remember what you said. We remember who stood by the slop, who endorsed the slop, and it was you, okay? Most importantly, we know who helped create these games. So yeah, nobody in this mess is winning right now. BioWare devs, they're cooked. EA execs, they're cooked. PC Gamer, getting dragged through the mud, writing these articles. It's kind of refreshing, honestly, because for once, gamers aren't just rolling over and accepting the narrative. We're speaking out against it. We're not giving out participation trophies for failure. If anything, this whole situation just proves how out of touch every single level of the gaming industry has begun, from the top brass down to creatives to the journos. And unless some serious changes are made, like actual accountability, not just excuses, BioWare themselves is never going to be coming back from this. This game, I think, was a huge nail in the coffin, and I feel this era of BioWare is now over. And no amount of "we were forced to do it" think pieces like this is going to bring it back. So anyways, that's all I got. Let me know your thoughts in the comment down below. We're keeping an eye on this Fallout because something tells me we haven't seen the last of this PR circus. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscription button. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care.